Time don't reach for this our nation to start to have a reorientation. That time don't reach, make me wake up.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you are welcome to Kukuruku Agro Concepts. This is a platform where we encourage young people to go into agriculture and also to encourage farmers that are already farming to know what they need to do and the rudiments of their farm. At this point, we are working on poultry, and I just want to take you on a process that talks about you vaccinating your pet against Gomboro. Now, Gomboro is actually a very, very useful vaccine that you must be aware of and you have to work with. Now, if you're given vaccination, there are some things that you need to take note of, which are things I will be taking you through. The reason why this is very critical is that a lot of farmers have had Gomboro failure, could wipe up your flock. When you have Gomboro outbreak, the minimum you could actually get is like 50% of the stock gone. So, and you have invested a lot of money into this, and we won't want you to lose that. So just follow us, be keen about it, and follow us, and you will be able to discover what you need to do. But let me tell you, in case you've not subscribed to our channel, it is very, very important that you subscribe to our channel so that each time we upload new videos, you'll be notified when you click on the notification button. So I would love that you click on both the notification button, like it, subscribe, so that anytime we have new videos, you will be notified. One of the things you do when you want to do vaccination, most especially when you're doing a vaccination like Gomboro, to avoid any disaster, you need to check whether the birds are healthy. And from what you can see, our birds are healthy. You can see them agile and they're healthy. So that is actually a guarantee for us to go ahead and begin to prepare our vaccine. This is the process of mixing the Gomboro vaccine. We will be mixing 2,000 doses, even though we have 1,700 birds. The valve of the Gomboro vaccine comes in 1,000, 2,000 doses. So we will be using 1,700 ration, and we'll be discarding the others. Now, it is very important for you to also note that when discarding the unused vaccine, you have to be careful because it's a live vaccine. It is encouraged that you dispose it into a toilet so that it's totally, you know that you are not growing virus on your farm. You are not also growing what you are trying to avoid. So what we do normally is after mixing and we finish using what we want to use, we dispose others into the toilet. We can as well, what you can do again is to add some disinfectant into it first before discarding so that you know that the disinfectant you put has killed what you have. And on the space where you mix your vaccine, it's advised that immediately you mix the vaccine and you share it into the rubber, as you will be seeing, we will as well spray the area with disinfectant so that we know that we are not growing what we are trying to avoid on the farm. For you to administer your vaccine, you need each bird is supposed to be 20 birds to a drinker. So as it is now, we need about 85 drinkers for us to administer for the 1,700 birds that we have in stock. And just as I told you earlier, we've actually mixed and we have removed out of 300 birds, just as I said earlier. So we have 85 drinkers now that will be going into the brooding space. And the reason why you need to have that is so that you don't have them stampede, because we have starved them of water. Just as I said earlier, we've starved them for water for quite some hours so that they'll be able to rush the vaccine, because the vaccine after mixing should not spend up to an hour or at most an hour, so that they'll be able to rush that and finish it up before that time. Very important that you don't just give your vaccine in the normal drinkers you give them. For instance, these birds within the brooding space, they use about 25 drinkers, but we had to make it up with other drinkers that we have on the farm so that we will be able to have them drink adequately. So that's what we are doing at the moment. Okay, from what you've seen already, the veterinary personnel have mixed the vaccine already. We encourage that you don't do this process yourself. Engage a professional to do this for you to avoid any mistakes. Even though it looks simple, but there are critical things that you need to take care of. So we encourage that you get a vet to do this for you. However, why we're giving you this knowledge is so that when your vet is doing it, you are acquainted with what he's already doing. Now, what we are going to do is that by the time we mix this, we are taking the drinkers. We won't just take it in because the birds have been starved already. So you need to close every drinker, arrange them at the entrance of the brooding space, just as you can see them doing. Now, what we do is that we arrange it at the entrance so that by the time we are going in, one person will be outside, passing it to somebody who is inside so that he will quickly be able to turn the drinkers for them, and they will be able to take without having issues of stampedes. It is very, very necessary that you understand this. So this is the process of vaccinating your birds against Gomboro. Now they are doing this, I just want to let you know, for those that have watched our video earlier, while we're doing some other videos, you'll notice that we had source of energy. Precisely, we had a charcoal in the brooding pen. But when you're giving this vaccine, because of the nature of the vaccine is supposed to be at a particular temperature. So we first of all need to clear the space and remove any heat. You remove any source of heat so that the place will not be too hot, so that it doesn't end up warming the vaccine. That is very, very important for you to take note of. So you can see the process. As you can see, the birds are already going around and they are taking the vaccine because these birds have been starved for about 6 hours without water. They have enough lights within that point, and they took enough heat, so they are a bit thirsty at this point, and that is why they are rushing the vaccine, as you can see. Okay, just some few minutes after we have given them the vaccine, you can discover that they have finished taking the vaccine. So we didn't even spend up to an hour. We spent quite some less. And what the attendant is doing is he's carefully picking up the empty drinkers from the pen. And after doing this, we will be giving them some multivitamin. Now, it's advisable that you give them multivitamin immediately after each vaccine, because vaccinating your bird is a source of stress to your birds. And because you don't want that stress to weigh them down, thereby leading to you having a failure in your vaccine, you need to introduce vitamin. As well, another thing to take care of is the fact that when you're doing that, you should also know that this vaccine can be neutralized. So I want to also tell you that instead of just administering the vitamin immediately, you give them about 30 minutes to 1 hour so that the vaccine gets into their system properly before you can introduce the multivitamin. This is yet another process that you should be aware of. Immediately after administering your vaccine, you are supposed to wash your drinkers with detergent. Now, the reason why you wash it with detergent and possibly with even disinfectant is so that you are able to kill whatever live virus that is left in the vaccine. And just as I said earlier, the vaccine is supposed not to last for more than an hour. So now having it glued to your drinkers could actually begin to grow some virus, which is what you are avoiding by doing this vaccine. Okay, at this point in time, you remember we wash it with detergent. Because we have washed with detergent, it is necessary for us to rinse it so that we don't end up giving them detergent. So it's a crucial thing that you should also take note of. Okay, at this point in time, we are mixing the vitamin. Remember, I told us the importance of giving vitamin after each vaccine is so that it will reduce the stress that the birds have undergone. One of the stress is that we starve them of water for about 6 hours before the vaccine so that they'll be able to rush the water. But again, remember, we are not giving them water at this point with a lot of drinkers like we did earlier. We gave them with 85 drinkers. But right now, we're going to give them the normal drinkers they are used to taking, which is about 25 drinkers that they are used to, because this is just a normal water they are taking, not really for vaccination. Though they are thirsty, they will rush it, but I assure you we will not have issues of stampede. We just need to spread it and do it fast so that they have the water to take fast. So I hope that you're learning this process, and I hope that you practice this process, because if you don't practice this, you might end up having casualties, you might end up having failure in your vaccine and other things. Okay, you remember earlier on I talked about the need for you to spray your work environment, particularly where you mix your vaccine. It is important that you spray so that you don't end up breeding viruses that you don't want to breed, because we are dealing with a live vaccine. Please, this is very crucial, and I'll encourage my viewers, both farmers and even vets, to encourage farmers to do this. It has been a lovely day today. We have done our vaccination and we've put you through what it takes for you to do vaccination. I just want to raise this disclaimer. We are not trying to turn you into veterinary doctors or veterinary personnel. So please, we encourage that whatever you want to do on your farm, please make sure that you engage the services of a professional. You can reach out to us. We'll connect you with professionals. We'll link you up with the right people to do this. However, there are some things that is not actually the professional that need to take care of for you. And those are the reasons why vaccinations fail. And a lot of people could get casualties. For instance, if you have a failed vaccine, you could lose about 50% of your flock, 60%, 70%, 80%, and even 90% of your flock could go. And that's losing quite a huge amount of money that you put into your investment. So we encourage you to take note of some few things which I'll be discussing shortly. One of the things I want you to take note of is that the reason why vaccines fail is the fact that you vaccinate sick birds. Now, I want you to understand that vaccinations are not meant to cure sickness. Rather, they are meant to prevent sicknesses. So if you have sick birds, for instance, birds that have come down with coccidiosis, any bacterial disease or anything, please, first of all, treat the birds and make sure the birds are okay before you could vaccinate them. That's one critical thing you should take note of, because when you vaccinate a bird that is sick, it could actually trigger failure of the vaccine. Another thing again you should also take note of is you should have adequate drinkers. Like we had in our farm earlier when we were administering and we say you should administer at least 20 birds to a 4-liter drinker. You should have adequate drinker so that you'll be able to share it within that adequate drinkers that you have. Because by the time you don't have adequate drinkers, what happens to you is that you discover that the birds will cluster in one place and you could actually have issues of stampede. Then apart from that again, some of the birds will not be taking the vaccine. There are birds that could be reluctant when they rush and they don't have space. They could just sit down and the vaccine will get finished and they wouldn't have gotten a good portion of the vaccine. And their immune is they are already exposed. When the virus comes, it just can trigger death in the birds. And when you begin to have such things, you could lose part of your flock. So it's good for you to have adequate drinkers. Another thing again you should also take note is the fact that you should not heat the place too hot. Now, we've had situations where people have a high temperature and the vaccine come and we just put it in the same place, begin to vaccinate. Now, the danger of that is that The vaccine you are administering is a live vaccine, which means that it is the virus that you're putting in to fight the virus when it comes. So if it's a live vaccine, just like the Gomboro is, it's supposed to stay within a particular temperature. Even when you mix it, the temperature should not be high, because when it's high, it begins to warm the mixed vaccine and it could trigger a failure. So we advise that whatever source of heat that you have, whether a brooding gas, or you have charcoal, or you have stove, or you have energy bulbs, or you have heat bulbs in your pen as a source of heat, you should be able to, if there are bulbs off them, and use energy bulbs instead of the heating bulbs. You also remove the source of your heat. Take, for instance, a gas brooder or your charcoal or whatever you're using for heating. You remove them out of the place, far from that place, so that the temperature will actually be within the room temperature. Just a normal room temperature will be okay for you to administer vaccine, so that you don't trigger failure. Another thing again that let me not miss that out. Just as you see, the environment where you administer your vaccines, you should be able to disinfect that environment, so that you will not pick up a live vaccine even after the administration and go into the pen, because biosecurity is very, very important. I think I'll do a video one of these days about biosecurity, so that we'll get acquainted to what biosecurity is, which is a very critical thing as a farmer. And I guess that I'm so careful not to give you too many informations. You watch some more of our videos, and if you want to watch some more of our videos, please do well to like our page, subscribe, and click on the notification button, so that each time we post a new video, you'll be able to see and you enjoy it. I hope this was worth your time. Thank you, and see you at the other side.
Make me wake up.